It's me, Lonnie Clark, Nuts for Art. I'm standing out here by the Willamette River. I've gone for a walk down the bike path. You can see it behind me there. And I've had a lot on my mind with the 3 Mile Island. I guess you call it an anniversary, 39th year. I don't want to call it an anniversary, but... And then Fukushima, the WIP, 2014, Chernobyl. I've been pondering about this. Like, we're living in the Manhattan Project still. The Manhattan Project still lives, and we're still abiding by the secrecy of the Manhattan Project. And it kind of blows me away that we're so extremely willing to just be silent and accept the nuclear contamination and the pollution and the chemical contamination that goes along with it. Like the Manhattan Project, maybe I'll do some digging on who created that and who started it, and because the secrecy is complete. We live our lives every day in nuclear and chemical contamination now in less than 100 years, and specifically since the Manhattan Project started. That is when all of this started to happen, when we actually lost control of being in charge of our environment and having a healthy environment and allowing the polluters to just deny they're polluting. It's not that they're polluting, they're just denying they're polluting. That's the trip about it, is like they're lying about it, and we're like, oh yeah, I heard on Libby Halevi's show, in fact I listened to it twice this weekend, a Nuclear Hot Seat, and I really recommend everybody catch every one of her shows, because honestly her shows are awesome. She had on a gentleman around the 3 Mile Island. I think his name was Bixby, Mr. Bixby. I could be wrong, I'll double check that, but he was talking about how he's been engaged in this for 39 years since it happened. He was a young man, and they have been demanding equity and treatment for the victims of 3 Mile Island. For 39 years, the government has been denying that they have actually been contaminated. For 39 years. We're talking about 39 years. That's a whole lifetime. That man's whole life. I know myself, I've been 5 years on this deal. Like, just trying to get equity. And frankly, for me, I'm sick of the details. We know that nuclear contamination kills. We know that the nuclear industry lies about everything. We know that as taxpayers, we have to pay for the accidents. And we also know that we get denied benefits if we are anywhere engaged. He was talking about how unjust it is that not a single nuclear power plant has like a health safety questionnaire to find out if the people in their area are being affected. That's because the nuclear industry, true to the Manhattan Project, is in full denial and demands we stay in full denial. And those of us that speak out, we're considered lunatics. And in fact, the professionals, the anti-nuclear professionals who spend their days in court, stay as far away from us YouTubers as they possibly can, because they're able to frame us as lunatics, because we're concerned about nuclear contamination, because we believe that it's just absolutely outrageous that we have to live our lives in denial. So that's what I was thinking about. Like, why are we putting up with the Manhattan Project lies? Why are we deciding that it's okay to have the Manhattan Project lies? Why do we have to allow? Why does a man at 3 Mile Island have to spend 30, 40, 38 years, 39 years demanding equity and justice and still not getting it? I mean, I was actually kind of blown away to realize when he said in that thing that 3 Mile Island is still not fixed. 3 Mile Island is still a huge mess. It has not been remediated. They have not done anything with it. And the whole idea about the nuclear industry is, well, if it's too expensive, we're just not going to do it. That's the reality. If it's too expensive, we'll just let it stew there and contaminate the groundwater and the water. It's just beyond comprehension. I don't know how we as people can continue the nuclear denial. Like, I read an article this morning that was up on Google News. I actually have an alert on Google for nuclear, and so it gives me these odd things. But there was an article in, oh Lord, I wish I could remember the journal. I want to say Business Insider, about how nuclear, there's somebody working on how to deal with the waste, to turn it around. That's exactly what we need. That's the kind of science that we need, but it's still not there yet. Some of the guys coming, walking with this dog. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, this is why I haven't put up videos lately. I mean, I used to read articles about the contamination, and I guess I could still rabble-rouse a little bit. But at this point, it's kind of like people's kids are dying literally from cancer. People are getting cancer. They're having heart attacks. People have schizophrenia, diabetes, and they just want to take a pill. It's beyond comprehension that they're not concerned about the rest of the planet. So I think it's time. I think it's time we start talking about the nuclear taboo. Like, we have got to stop living in the Manhattan Project. It's completely outrageous that we are being forced to allow that river and every river in the United States to be contaminated with tritium, which it probably already is. We don't even know. They don't even test. That's the shock. They don't even test. They literally don't test for nuclear contamination. I don't know, man. It's a trip. I never thought in all my years that I would spend my, I guess, last quarter of a century attempting to stop the Manhattan Project, of all God-forsaken things. Because that's what we're doing. We're talking about stopping the Manhattan Project because it is full on. The Manhattan Project is not an old project. Ask the people of St. Louis. Ask the hundreds of thousands of people of St. Louis who have lost children, who have severe problems, cancer, autoimmune deficiencies. Ask them if the Manhattan Project is over. It is certainly not. So, I don't know. I don't know how we put our courage feet on when nobody even wants to admit it. Everybody just wants to pretend like it's just part of, that's what happens in war. No, it's not. Because all of this nuclear contamination didn't come out of war. It came because the nuclear industry, yes, wants nuclear weapons. The power to kill, and kill completely. I guess that's what they want. And they're doing it, man. Anyways, put your courage feet on, you guys. I don't know when I'm going to make another video, but I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.